So, if you haven't noticed lately, I've been making videos about predictions for the upcoming 2018-2019 season predictions. I've been making a lot of videos about that. So, today, here we are, we're doing a different type of video. We're taking a look at past predictions, past season predictions, and see how strange a year it was. Now, honestly, you guys look at this, it's blurry. I'm sorry about that. But you guys can definitely see it. And all we're going to do today is just going to look at them. Like, see what we predicted at the beginning of the year. And see how close anyone was. Because, we're talking about predictions. I've been making my predictions for the upcoming season. Not final, guaranteed final predictions. Just what I think will happen as of right now. So, I want to take a look back at last year and see how close I was, see how close everyone else was, and also see how unpredictable it was. So, let's get started. So we all knew the Metropolitan Division, we all knew that, what am I calling it? We all knew that, everyone made predictions, honestly. The final predictions, final stats was in the Atlantic, it was Tampa, Boston, Toronto. In the Metro, it was Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, Columbus, New Jersey. In the Central, it was Nashville, Winnipeg, Minnesota, Colorado. And in the Pacific, it was Vegas, Anaheim, San Jose, and the Kings. So let's get started. So you can look at the top. This was my prediction for the season. I had Tampa, Toronto, Montreal. I had in the Metro Pittsburgh, Columbus, New York, Washington, Philly, and I see also those teams in red or pink. Those are teams those are uncommon. Those are like, what? And what I mean by that was because those were teams that were rarely mentioned. Because you see Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, and Ottawa. Well, Boston and Ottawa were not mentioned. Well, they were mentioned, but not a lot. But like, for example, Tampa, Toronto were mentioned like nearly every prediction. Tampa, Toronto was in the playoffs. But like, Philly, I think only one other person picked Philly to actually make the playoffs. So that's why I'm saying those ones in pink and reds were teams that were mentioned to make the playoffs a lot. So I had Pittsburgh, Columbus, then I had Nashville, Dallas, St. Louis, Minnesota. I didn't buy into Chicago at all. And Edmonton, Anaheim, San Jose, Calgary. I went 10 for 16. And in the finals, I had Edmonton defeating Tampa Bay. In the end, Edmonton didn't make the playoffs. Tampa lost in the conference finals. So those were my predictions. Honestly, were they completely right? I went 10 for 16. All the other people on this, all the other predictions were NHL.com's predictions. There was like 18, 17, I think, of them. I wrote them all down. And, So, the next guy had Montreal first. He had Montreal, Tampa, Ottawa, Toronto. He had Pittsburgh, New York, Washington, Columbus, Minnesota, Dallas, Chicago, Nashville, Anaheim, Edmonton, Calgary, and San Jose. I think this guy might be the only guy in all predictions that have each division have only 4 make it. He also went 10 for 16 in the predictions, and he had Dallas defeating Tampa. Dallas, who again missed the playoffs. Tampa, who lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. The next guy had Toronto, Tampa, Boston, Ottawa, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Washington, the Islanders. Yeah, the Islanders making it. Wow. Minnesota, St. Louis, Chicago, Nashville. Yeah, Nashville staying in a wild card spot. Nashville was the one that I was surprised a lot. Like, they were ones who were mainly were mostly in the wild card spot. I'm like, what? And then they had Edmonton, Calgary, Anaheim, San Jose. He went 10 for 16. He had Tampa defeating Calgary. So he had Tampa and Calgary in the finals. I thought that was kind of cool. Calgary. Nothing wrong with Calgary. The next guy had Tampa, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Columbus, Pittsburgh, New York, Washington, Dallas, Nashville, Chicago, St. Louis, Edmonton, Anaheim, LA, and Calgary. He went 8 for 16. Right? Yeah, 8 for 16. Yeah, Dallas defeating Tampa. I think Dallas defeating Tampa or Tampa defeating Dallas was the most. I think one popped up for people. Next one, we had Tampa, Montreal, Toronto, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New York, Columbus, Washington, Nashville, Chicago, Minnesota, Dallas, St. Louis, Edmonton, Anaheim, Calgary. He went 8 for 16, had Tampa defeat Minnesota in the finals. Minnesota, okay. Next guy, Tampa, Toronto, Montreal. Tampa, Toronto, Montreal was mentioned, I believe, 8 times. Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, I think was the most common thing to happen in any division. That's the top 3. Yeah, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Washington, Carolina, Rangers, Minnesota, Chicago, Nashville, St. Louis, Dallas, Edmonton, and Calgary. He also went 8 for 16, had Tampa defeating Minnesota as well. The next guy, he had Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Washington, New York, Carolina, Dallas, Minnesota, Chicago, Nashville, Anaheim, Edmonton, Calgary, the Kings. He went 9 for 16, had Pittsburgh defeating Anaheim. So yeah, Pittsburgh winning the cup again. Next guy had Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Capitals, Rangers, Minnesota, Chicago, Nashville, Dallas, Edmonton, Anaheim, Calgary, San Jose. He went 10 for 16. He had Pittsburgh defeating Chicago. Next guy had Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Washington, New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, Chicago, Nashville, Dallas, Minnesota, St. Louis, Anaheim, Edmonton, Calgary. He went 9 for 16. He went 8 for 16. He had Tampa defeating Nashville. A lot of people had Tampa and Nashville, I believe, in the finals this year. When the playoffs were finalized. Next guy, Toronto, Tampa, Boston, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Washington, the Islanders, St. Louis, Dallas, Minnesota, Chicago, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Anaheim, Calgary. He went 9 for 16. The only one that had this, I'm surprised. Toronto defeating Edmonton in the finals. Next guy had Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Columbus, Washington, Pittsburgh, New York, St. Louis, Nashville, Dallas, Chicago, Minnesota, Edmonton, Anaheim, Calgary. He went 8 for 16, had Nashville defeating Columbus. Wow. Okay, these are good. Tampa, Boston, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Washington, Columbus, Carolina, and the Rangers, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, St. Louis, Edmonton, San Jose, Anaheim, Calgary. This guy went 9 for 16. He had Tampa defeating Edmonton. Next guy, Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Washington, New York, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, St. Louis, Edmonton, San Jose, Anaheim, Calgary. This guy, just said the same. Oh my god. Nashville, Dallas, Chicago, St. Louis, Minnesota, Edmonton, San Jose, Anaheim. He had 10 for 16. He had Pittsburgh defeating Dallas. Next guy had Toronto, Montreal, Tampa, Ottawa, Columbus, Pittsburgh, New York, Washington, Chicago, Nashville, St. Louis, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Anaheim, San Jose. He went 10 for 16. He had Edmonton defeating Pittsburgh. Next, Tampa, Montreal, Toronto, Boston, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Washington, New York, Nashville, Chicago, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Anaheim, Calgary, San Jose. This was the best prediction I found on NHL.com. He went 11 for 16. The only teams he got wrong was Montreal, the Rangers, Chicago. Montreal, the Rangers, Chicago, Anaheim, Montreal, Chicago, Edmonton, Calgary. 11 for 16. He had Pittsburgh and Anaheim. Pittsburgh defeating it. Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Washington, New York, Carolina, St. Louis, Chicago, Minnesota, Dallas, Anaheim, Edmonton, Calgary, San Jose. This guy went 8 for 16. He had Anaheim defeating Tampa in the finals. Next guy had Tampa, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Washington, New York, Columbus, Dallas, Chicago, Nashville, St. Louis, Minnesota, Anaheim, Edmonton, San Jose. 9 for 16 had Pittsburgh defeating Edmonton. And last but not least, Tampa, Montreal, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Washington, New York, Philly, Carolina, Nashville, Dallas, Minnesota, Chicago, St. Louis, Anaheim, LA, Edmonton. He went 9 for 16, had Pittsburgh defeat Anaheim. Yeah, there's all your predictions. And no one thought Vegas or Washington would fight out in the finals. Washington, a lot of people had Washington make the playoffs. No one had Vegas even making the playoffs. I find this was a fun experiment to do, just to look back at it. So, talk about the most uncommon appearances. Starting with the most common, uncommon experience. Carolina was mentioned the most out of all. Yeah, them in the playoff category. They only had 5. They had 5 appearances. So the Metropolitan was the one that was a lot changing. Winnipeg was second with 3. LA was tied with 3. The Islanders had 3, and the teams that were most uncommon in any predictions was Philadelphia and Buffalo. I had Philly because I like their offense. Their defense, I think, is going to grow, in their goaltending situation. Again, it wasn't the best, but he's still pretty good. 2 okay goalies. And here's this. Carolina Stanley Cup wins. The least Stanley Cup wins. Toronto had 1 win out of all predictions. Toronto had 1 cup. Nashville had 1 cup. Nashville, only one person thought that. Only one time Nashville was predicted to win the cup. Anaheim once. Edmonton twice. Dallas twice. Tampa Bay 5. Pittsburgh 6. So 11 of the 18 times Tampa or Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup. Stanley Cup appearances are different. Columbus won. Calgary won. I think I see a team. I'm trying to think. Sorry about this. No. Chicago. There it is. Chicago once. Toronto once. Minnesota twice. Nashville twice. The Ducks 3 times. Dallas 3 times. The Oilers 5 times. Pittsburgh 7 times. Tampa 8. So once again, out of 18, 36 really, because, 36. Out of 36, 15 of those 36 times, it was Tampa or Pittsburgh. 15, and if you want to even go farther, 20 of the 36 times, it was Tampa, Pittsburgh, Edmonton, 8, 7, and 5. And yet, none of them made the finals. No one out of all predictions had Washington winning. And yet they won the cup. And that goes to show how unpredictable a season can easily become. So thank you guys for watching. I wonder how this is gonna happen. We'll definitely do this when the playoffs start in 2019 to see how close anyone was. Let me know what you guys thought about this. Was it fun? Was it cool? And we'll see you guys the next time. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.